Women's College Basketball Star Power Index. JuJu Watkins excels as number 7 USC holds off number 4 UConn. USC rode its superstar to a top 5 victory over the Huskies. Number 7 USC rode its superstar to a top 5 victory while the ebbs and flows of the ACC continues to be the gift that keeps giving. For this week's Women's College Basketball Star Power Index, we take a look at some of the top performances of the week, which includes a dark horse conference contender and a surprising upset. Here's the latest Star Power Index. JuJu Watkins, USC. JuJu Watkins and number 7 USC were able to fend off a furious comeback from number 4 UConn to secure a 72-70 win in the weekend's biggest women's college basketball game. Normally, the Trojans rely on Watkins' prolific scoring to carry them to victory. But on Saturday night, it was JuJu's playmaking that stole the show. After a dominant first half by USC, UConn was able to storm back in the second half to hold a fourth-quarter lead. Then, with just 1:24 left in regulation, Watkins found senior center Raya Marshall for the go-ahead bucket. This sparked a thrilling, back-and-forth finish that ended with USC clinching a win over a top-5 opponent. Watkins scored a game-high 25 points, 56% field goal, on Saturday to go along with 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. The performance was her fourth 25-point game against an AP top 5 opponent, which is the most by any player since she entered college. Danny Carnegie, Georgia Tech. Danny Carnegie's shot-making helped number 17 Georgia Tech get a win over a top 25 opponent. The standout freshman scored 20 points in 22 minutes in the Yellow Jackets' 72-61 win over number 23 Nebraska. This game high in scoring was supplemented by the 8 rebounds she grabbed. Saturday's win ended Nebraska's 5-game winning streak and gave the undefeated Yellow Jackets its third win over a ranked opponent. Now, Georgia Tech continues onto ACC play with a game against the Pittsburgh Panthers. In possibly the biggest shock of the weekend, South Florida was able to pull out a 65-56 victory over number 9 Duke. Heading into halftime, South Florida led Duke 33-15. However, the Blue Devils were able to avoid a collapse and make the game more competitive in the second half. This is when the steady shooting of South Florida's Sammy Puisis paid off for the Bulls. Puisis scored a game-high 23 points on 66% from the floor. Her efforts were bolstered by a Lowar Mputu's 17-point, 11-rebound double-double. Together, they pushed the Bulls past Duke. South Florida now heads into AAC play with a win over a top 10 team. The 10-2 Colorado Buffaloes are looking like a potential conference contender in the Big 12 thanks to a gutsy top 15 win over number 14 West Virginia. In 37 minutes of action, Furman scored a game-high 22 points, 57% field goal, which included 4 made three-pointers. Her shooting kept Colorado in the game before clutch fourth-quarter performances from Jade Massagueo and Lior Garcon carried the Buffs over the finish line. This win over a top 15 ranked conference opponent sets the stage for what is arguably Colorado's biggest game of the year. The Buffaloes will bring in the new year with a game against number 12 TCU. If they're able to get past the Horned Frogs, the Buffs will have 2 consecutive Big 12 wins against AP-ranked teams. That will undoubtedly make them a force in the conference.